Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Draft Dynamite. We're back with the guys, right? We had a nice little off season for us, and I'm Daniel Alameda here with Theo Ash and Cole Topham. Theo, how are we doing so far?
I'm doing great. I got back down here a month ago. You guys, I know Daniel, are you even in the state?
Not yet, man. Still
Not
in
yet.
Cali.
Bro, that must have been miserable. You got back here a month ago. You spent entire July in Phoenix.
Yeah, I've got more friends down here than I do back home, or not more, but it was good for me to be back. There was no reason for me to be home for like 3 months. That's just too much time with my parents.
And
I gotta get away. I gotta be by myself. I gotta do my own thing down here, but it's air conditioned in here.
I feel you, man. And Cole, you've been covering, Sun Devil football, but how are we doing so far?
Pretty good, man. Sun Devils are looking good this year. They open up September 2nd. And yeah, I mean, the offense has been having problems at camp, but I think it's mostly due to the defense just being best in the Pac-12. So iron sharpens iron. We'll see what they look like, come September.
We might be
Yes.
having to break down Jaden Daniels as a prospect
Oh,
after
it'll
this.
happen at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
May,
maybe. If they
may
win the
not
Rose
look too
Bowl.
pretty. May not look too pretty. I don't know about that, but we'll save that. So you guys know what we do here on Draft Dynamite. We break down all the best prospects. But for this preseason show, we're going to be talking about what prospects happened last year, right? The rookies, preseason week one. We're going to start it off with the quarterbacks. We had a lot of good quarterbacks: Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. We're going to break them all down. I want to start off with Zach Wilson of the New York Jets. Theo, I'll let you go first. They played the New York Giants. He played, I think, a quarter. What did you see out of Zach Wilson? Is there anything that you saw out of your scouting report that changed from now, or what are your thoughts so far on Zach Wilson?
Nothing changed. He threw 9 passes in his preseason game, completed 6 of them for 69 yards, 6 for 9, 69 yards. A very nice stat line there. But my concern about him was watching his tape at BYU. I saw a lot of wide open pockets where he was rolling out and he had days to throw. It was like 7-on-7, and he's throwing to Dax Milne, who's the guy who got drafted, playing no Pac-12 teams, playing no real competition. And when he had in his college career, he had struggled. So he was someone I was not super optimistic about when he was drafted number 2 overall to the New York Jets. But he came in on week 1 of the preseason, and he looked fine to me. I mean, he put up good numbers. I know he was PFF's highest graded rookie, or rookie quarterback, which I might have some bones to pick there. But it wasn't a disaster at all. So now for the training camp stories that I've heard from him, that's been a little bit of a different story. Apparently he's struggled there. But the cameras aren't on him there. And, when it counted in week 1, I don't have too many negative things to say. There were a couple times where he may have misfired from a kind of a cloudy pocket, but the receivers kind of were slipping around. So it's hard to say off a 9-throw sample size, but it wasn't a disaster from him by any means. So we'll see.
Yeah,
That's what I
Cole,
kind of figured out.
is there anything different that you saw? Because I know we all had some different opinions. Like,
No,
is there any-
he had an out route to the field. He was on the far hash and hit the field side on an out route, which he just loved to do in college. Big, takes a lot of arm strength to do that. He hit one of those. He had another nice third down conversion to I can't remember who it was, maybe Crowder on a slant route. Picked up 2 third and medium, third and longs, but he didn't really take any shots down the field. There was a lot of running when he was in the lineup. There's a lot of, I thought, stuff that you'd expect a pro quarterback to hit, and he hit them all. But there were no wow throws in those 9 or wow runs. I thought he just hit what he should have hit, and that's all I got. It. Nothing. No minds have been changed with those 9 throws.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I tweeted out is that what was solid from the rookie quarterbacks this weekend is there were no disasters.
No disaster.
Right?
Everyone looked all right. Yeah.
Nobody fell apart. Everyone looked all right. I mean, some looked better than others at some points. I mean, I know, Fields had a fumble. Trevor Lawrence had a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, it's their first NFL game action, and we can't really, take much from that. But with Zach Wilson, I've been seeing some crazy stuff flying around. Like after that 3-day stretch of where he was throwing like numerous interceptions per practice. I mean, people were like, okay, it's time to call Zach Wilson a bust. Like, man, if people would attach like their actual careers and attach their social media profiles to what they say in preseason, I wonder what, the social media landscape would look like, because the fact that people are calling Zach Wilson a bust with 2 weeks into training camp is just the fact that they were calling him a bust even before before he was drafted was crazy to me. So
Hey.
I'm firmly on that fence of don't, call anyone, say their NFL careers are over before they've already began.
Hey, I called Zach Will. Cole may be talking to me a little bit there.
You may have
but
alluded to it.
Here's
I
my
don't think
stance. Here's my stance. If you called someone a bust before they got drafted, and like if that was your take during the evaluation process, I don't blame anyone for kind of pushing their agenda during a training camp or preseason. But if that wasn't your take and you thought he was going to be good, you can't change it based on a training camp. But if you always said that he was going to be bad like me and kind of start to maybe push the I was right agenda a little bit, I don't blame anyone for doing that.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do here is, we don't like to push agendas, but I'm gonna push an agenda, right?
I kind of like to push agenda.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back, and I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about the whole Trey Lance. And I'm gonna go to Cole first, but Trey Lance looked good, right? We saw him throw a massive deep bomb. I forgot who it was to, but it's what we saw in the film, right? I was talking to Cole about this the other day. We saw his ability to get the defense to bite on the play action, to set his feet, and absolutely throw a rocket. So, Cole, just talk to me. When do you expect Trey Lance to start, if at all, this year?
For me, I think it's within the first 5 weeks of the season. Who knows? Maybe Garoppolo is going to get injured in that time span. Or, if he has an absolute meltdown of a game, I don't think it's all that out of this world to see Lance in the starting lineup week 6. The fact that on that one play that, everyone's talking about, the 80-yard bomb to was it Sheffield?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Trent Sherfield? Yeah. So he looked off of Ayuk, which was the safe route, he was running in like an over route towards the left sideline, and he had a step on his man, and Lance instead just pivoted, rocketed across the field, like you said, Daniel, hit Sherfield in stride, and he went for the boom play over the safe play, and I think that speaks volumes about Lance's security and confidence in this offense so far. And it's basically a trend that we've seen throughout training camp. We try not to highlight scout in training camp, but every single pass that he has thrown seems to be highlight worthy, whether he's hitting Ayuk on a dime or, just rifling it into Kittle between 3 defenders. Lance has been impressive this preseason. I don't think anyone can dispute that.
Yeah. And, with Lance, I think it could come really early. I think that Lance was one of the smartest quarterback prospects in the draft. Good good on the chalkboard, good drawn up plays, good understanding schemes, good, with all that mental aspect, good with pressure. And we saw it. He, had the composure to take the deep bomb instead of the safe route that Jimmy Garoppolo almost certainly would have thrown and not scored a touchdown on. He's got the big arm, obviously, and he's got the legs. So this is a guy who, in my opinion, is a high level quarterback prospect. And you look at Jimmy G, and he's someone that I think Shanahan gets frustrated with. You look at Goff and Sean McVay, and Sean McVay and I think Kyle Shanahan are similar guys. And if McVay had the opportunity to replace Goff at any point during their tenure together, I think he would have. And I think that you're going to kind of see, I think Shanahan's trigger to put in Lance will be kind of quick if Garoppolo can't execute his vision as good as Lance can. And I can't imagine that is a hard conclusion to come to, that Lance can do that better.
Yeah, and I think, just from watching the preseason and all last year, he takes the offense to another level, right? This offense is an offense led by Kyle Shanahan. They're a run-first offense, and Trey Lance gives them something that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have, right? The one play we always look back at was the Super Bowl play, that deep bomb. What did Trey Lance do in his first preseason game? I'm sorry, right? Trey Lance, at some point this year, he will be starting, and I find it hard to believe that he won't be in a playoff spot, right? I think they're going to make the playoffs. He's going to have a chance to win a playoff game. And who knows? Maybe I think they have a Super Bowl caliber roster, but I don't know, man.
So you're thinking LA, San Francisco, top of the division. You don't even you think You think it'll be close, maybe
Oh
between
yeah,
Seattle and I mean Arizona's on the rise too. They added a bunch of free agents.
I just like I don't want to get too much into the 49ers, but like the roster as a whole, I mean, they were Super Bowl contenders the year before, and then Nick Bosa got hurt, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, George Kittle got hurt, Deebo Samuel got hurt, their offensive line was hurt. Top 5 O line now, still got Kyle Shanahan. You get Trey Lance. I don't know, man. I like their team. The secondary is an issue though, but
Mosley is looking good, and that's the other thing with expectations. You've got to be pretty. You cannot be starting your worst quarterback. Like if you lose a couple games, you can be out of that division because it's stacked.
Right.
And if they start 0-1, if they start 0-2 behind the 8 ball a little bit, and you need to make up some ground, you're putting in Trey Lance, right? And I don't know who they play week 1 and 2, but with that added, with that Super Bowl playoff expectation added, they have to start their better guy. And if that's Lance, and it probably is Lance, that's who's going to be playing. So it could be as soon as week 1, honestly. I believe strongly that we are going to see Lance early. Plus, Garoppolo's contract is so tradable, and they should be dying to trade that contract because
that is one of the best contracts in football right now. I remember when that was signed, Garoppolo, it was like 5 years, 70 million something.
He was one of the highest paid quarterbacks of all time.
At the time. And then now you see like Mahomes and Deshaun Watson and what Josh Allen got, a week ago. I mean, the fact that Garoppolo is that cheap at this moment, and then you can like cut ties with him with your ideal franchise quarterback in your back pocket, like hats off to the general management at San Francisco.
Yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me if Garoppolo is traded by the deadline because it is such a tradable contract. But that's Lance. I love Lance. Accuracy was the big issue in college. That's the only thing. But his stat line wasn't fantastic. Didn't end up being great in that game, week 1. But he was dealing with a lot of drops too. He also had to get the ball out a little quicker. He got sacked a couple times. So not perfect, but still someone I expect just because of his raw talent and mental processing to be a really good starter in this league for a long time.
Yeah, and we're going to go from a team that is a Super Bowl contender to a team that might not be in the Chicago Bears. I want to talk about Justin Fields, and I want to get you guys' opinions on, preseason or all training camp, he's looked good. Is he starting week 1? Is he starting week 4? But I think regardless, something that a teaching lesson for me was I wasn't a huge fan of him in college, but it's because, I was like, all his touchdowns are wide open receivers. He's not making difficult reads, but at the same time, he wasn't asked to, right? And for me, that's something where, same thing with Justin Herbert, right? Justin Herbert wasn't asked to do it. He had screen passes, all the basic stuff in the Oregon system. So Justin Fields had a pretty damn good week 1 in the preseason. Cole, what are your thoughts on Justin Fields? Is he going to be a starter week 1, as people are saying, or are you still waiting to start him?
I still think Nagy is entrenched in the idea that Dalton is going to start no matter what week 1, and they will go from there. But after preseason, I saw, Justin Fields that got off to a shaky start, but found his stride later in the game. And then a lot of the things we see with these rookie quarterbacks is, once their first, second read isn't there, they just take off with the football, right? And Fields, I felt like when he would exit the pocket, he wasn't looking to run the ball.
He was directing he was pointing him around. He was directing traffic.
He was directing his guys. The tuck was the last thing on his mind. That was the last resort. And I think you could see that on his rushing touchdown as well, where he was still keeping his eyes open as he, went to the left side and ended up just bowling it in at the goal line. But his passing touchdown I thought was incredible. I mean, this is what I was talking about with Fields I wanted him to go to San Francisco and he would be paired up with Shanahan. And they ended up using one of Shanahan's tried and true concepts in the leak, concept where the tight end leaks across the formation after, being that run support, trying to act like that run support, and then finally drifting into the open. And against cover 2, it worked perfectly. Fields sold it with his eyes, and he just hit Jesse James, who just backtracked in the end zone. So I thought that was fantastic work from Fields.
Fields was really impressive. Fields was really good. And on the ground, too, he is so fast. He hit his touchdown, obviously, and he was looking off to his right. One of his guys fell over, and the other wasn't open. And so it wasn't looking like, he was just going off to run. He was looking at that. Left tackle gets beat with the long arm move. And then looks like he's in the grip. He's stumbling backwards. And then he just kept his balance and accelerated so quickly and was clearly the fastest guy out there. I mean, he was clearing linebackers easily with his speed. And then he was on his Cam Newton, made his best Cam Newton impression and lowered his shoulder trying to get in the end zone. He had one more big scramble later where he just left a linebacker in his dust. And he wasn't looking. And like you said, he said the game came slowly to him, and you can tell as he's rolling out, he was keeping his eyes downfield. He wasn't moving at his fastest pace. He was kind of almost jogging, scanning the field, pointing his guys where he needed to be. You could tell he was comfortable. And obviously it's preseason, and he started, a lot of the third quarter, so not even against the guys. And Brian Flores probably wasn't bringing out the Brian Flores can throw the whole book at you if he wants to, and he wasn't really doing that. But definitely an encouraging start from Justin Fields. I thought
that comment from him, the game coming slow to him, was pretty interesting. Daniel, what do you think? Do you think that was a shot at some of his draft doubters that he would struggle, progressing through his reads at the next level?
I don't know. I mean, it could have, but at the same time, it could also be the truth. But we also do remember Tua did say that last year, right? Tua came out and said, "Oh, this is too slow," and then we saw what happened with him. I don't know. I just think that it's probably the truth for him. I just hope he doesn't expect that the preseason's anything like the regular season, though. It's going to be different. Those guys are going to be come and take off your head. So I don't know. It's good.
Yeah, you finish up your thought.
No, it's good to hear that out of your quarterback. I mean, the Bears fans, I have all these Bears fans telling me, "Yeah, we got our guy. Well, cool. It ain't over yet, man. You still got a lot of issues on your team."
It's one game.
It's good. That quote is going to be famous no matter what happens. If he busts, that quote's going to be a meme, and if he's great, that quote is going to be legendary. That's a quote that's going to stick with Justin Fields for a long time, I think, no matter what the outcome is. Which is another quote. This is another young rookie quarterback that we don't have to spend too much time on because he won't be a starter probably for a while. But it was interesting to me that Mike Zimmer said that the game is almost like is slow motion for Kellen Mond, but he said it in kind of a bad way where things were going very slowly for him. So when he came, he was like, "The game is very slow right now." I was like, "Oh God, is this going to be a disaster in that Denver game?" Kellen Mond came out and looked all right too. He had some nice moments as well. But yeah, that kind of seems the same quote. The game seems slow for me. The game is slow motion for him with two very different energies, but it's the same,
right?
Kind of the same phrasing.
Yeah, let's keep the train going with Felipe Franks. I'm not talking about it.
I love Felipe Franks. I don't care. The game looked slow for Felipe Franks. That first throw that he had should have been a touchdown. And if it was, I would have acted up. He hit that guy over the middle, and then the two linebackers or the two defensive backs ran into each other. And if that would have happened, he could have rounded the corner, and I think he would have been gone, but he dropped it.
If Theo wasn't intolerable already on Twitter, he would have been even more.
I would have been even more. I was tweeting so much. Felipe Franks. I like that guy a lot. All the Florida fans always tell me that, you'll see he's bad, bro. He was so bad at Florida. It's like, this isn't about
He wasn't healthy at Florida. That was his
This
issue.
isn't about Florida. This is about Arkansas. I don't care about his Florida. I do care a little bit about his Florida tape. But, at Arkansas, he did not play like he did at Florida. Felipe Franks played really good at Arkansas. He's 6'7". You saw the speed. That he exhibited in the preseason game, running for 75 yards on 3 carries. And he's got all the arm talent in the world. The dude cannot throw with anticipation to save his life right now. But I mean, I can't believe he went undrafted, because you just don't find guys like that in the seventh round picks don't usually look like that with it talent wise.
Yeah,
so
I was literally rewatching him last week because I was watching Treylon Burks, one of the Arkansas wide receivers. And I was like, "Who's this quarterback?" Because I didn't watch Franks in the whole draft process. I was like, he's making some damn good out of the pocket throws. I didn't say anything bad because I watched one game and I had people saying literally the same thing. "Go watch this Florida film." I'm like, I don't care. I watched one game. But let's talk about real quick Mac Jones, my guy, my dog, Mac Jones. Nothing surprising. All camp, though, his teammates have been raving about him. Bill Belichick's raved about him. Josh McDaniels raved about him. I don't expect him to break any records this year. I actually expect him to struggle. But accuracy looks great. His ability to throw with touch looks great. Can command the offense. His ability to really, his pocket presence is better than Cam Newton's right now, right? So, Theo, talk to me about Mac Jones real quick. What have you seen from anything different from your scouting process?
No, it looked good. I thought he looks. I mean, very, very dink and dunk. Although he had maybe one of the best throws of any rookie quarterback up the left sideline to number, I think it's 17. Dropped it right in the bucket, and with a solid start, it was good defense being played, but with a better starter, that could have been a touchdown. That placement couldn't have been any better on that. He hit that from about 45 yards out, probably. That was a beautiful throw from him. Some of his bullet passes when he was like fading away and like tried to gun it towards the flat, wide receivers had to adjust and pick it up off the ground. That happened on a play with Jacoby Myers. He had to pick it off right up the ground, and it was called incomplete, but it was a catch. So there's the arm strength was like the biggest problem with him. And on some of those bullet flatline passes, I did see that a little bit, them die down a little bit. But that rainbow pass that he threw was beautiful. He's definitely not afraid to keep the chains moving and take the check down. He was impressive. Yeah. I thought he looked about how I expected him to look, but I think if the Patriots needed to start him, if Cam struggles or he's hurt or whatever happens, I think you could feel pretty good that he could keep the chains moving.
I think the biggest thing for me is his number. It was good to see him not in number 50.
Not number 50.
Yeah.
You're not throwing a good pass.
I don't give a damn. I'm gonna find that practice jersey and I'm going to buy it.
That's a great jersey. Mac Jones 50 red jersey.
At some point, I want that. Jersey. I want that.
See if I'm sure some China like jersey manufacturer can maybe hook you up. Get a custom.
Daniel, go to sleep in that jersey.
Yeah, I literally will. But Cole, any other thoughts on Mac Jones?
No, I mean, basically with just what Theo said, I mean, it looked like he was processing the game all right, had a few nice throws. I think the biggest thing for him moving forward is, I mean, Patriots, they brought in a lot of weapons, and the faster he can establish good chemistry with those weapons, the faster he's going to get in starting lineup.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump the gun on something, right? Just because, what we like to do. We like to switch things up. I want to talk about the Bengals first off, but why are people not giving the same exact energy to the Dolphins as they are with the Bengals, right? And what I mean by that is the Dolphins' offensive line is bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. And why, if you look at it on paper, okay, Liam Eichenberg on one side, it looks decent, but it's not good. Why? Where's the disconnect, Theo? Just, is there,
Well,
Waddle,
I'm not totally
Chase?
sure. I said the Bengals are going to suck, and everyone got mad at me. And they were like, no way. They got so much better. They drafted Jamar Chase. They brought in Riley Reef, the good tackle. And how can you think they're going to be worse when they got Trey Hendrickson and all these guys? I think the Bengals are a bottom 5 team in terms of talent. And I think the Dolphins are substantially above that, especially now that they avoided the nightmare scenario of having to trade away Xavier Howard. And also, Tua had a very good camp, and everyone liked Tua's camp. And the reports out of Joe Burrow and the Bengals camp was that they were getting their face caved in by the defense. So that is why there were different energies there. But I don't know. I don't love either team. I would be surprised if either made the playoffs after watching maybe not the Dolphins. Dolphins have a decent shot because I do like their defense, and I do love their weapons. I love their weapons. And I think Tua is good enough to be Jared Goff and Jimmy Garoppolo, who have led some actually pretty elite offenses. Both of them have. And with those weapons, I think Tua is good enough to lead a solid offense. I don't know if what the Bengals' path to a solid offense looks like. I know the weapons, the wide receiving core is. I know the wide receiving core is good. The coaching staff is totally anonymous. The offensive line is I think it's going to be a strainer again. Joe Burrow cannot create explosive plays, and now is coming off you look at what's on his left leg right now. He looks like a transformer. I just don't see where. And Jamar Chase was a guy who I think needs a lot of time to add nuance to his game, because there wasn't a lot of it even at LSU. And the reports out of training camp that he's not creating as much separation as you'd hope was a report that I read. And I know Cole was on this too. Separation was his biggest problem. So I don't know. I don't see the deep plays happening. I don't see the running back. I don't see the time in the pocket. I like Joe Mixon a good amount, but the offensive line, things are going to kind of live and die by the offensive line in Burrow. And I don't know what the path to them being like a top 10 offense looks like. I can the top 10 for Miami's getting up there too, but I don't know. I don't love either offense. But
Theo, where I'm at with that is like I respect your opinion, and you are right. You are right. But this team is not anywhere near 2-win team caliber, right? Like if you look at last year versus this year, you can say all you want about Joe Burrow. He looked good when he was playing, right? And there's a difference. Their offensive line's bad. It's bad. It's going to be around either 25th to 32nd. That's the range. It's not going to be any better. But their weapons, Joe Mixon was hurt basically the whole entire year, right? And T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Auden Tate, Tyler Boyd, their offense, they're going to run a lot more of a spread offense. Your concerns about Joe Burrow, I can't change that. I think Joe Burrow's a way better quarterback than you think he is. But I just can't see how that offense – this is a competitive team. If you look at how they played last year, they won 4 games, right? But they could have beat the Seahawks. They lost that. They missed a late field goal against the Vikings, or a missed field goal against the team. And the first game, Joe Burrow drove them down the field against the Chargers. I think it was the Chargers.
It was the Chargers of the first game, yeah.
AJ Green passing interference, but that's a touchdown. This is a competitive team, and on defense, their defensive lines look good with Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson and Joseph Ossai, who looked tremendous, by the way. They're not a 2-win team, man. They're not.
Who are the 5 teams you would consider to be less talented than them?
Eagles.
Yeah.
Eagles, Texans. Oh, I don't have it in front of me. Eagles, Texans. I think the Jets. Eagles, okay. Texans, Jets. I'll pick the Lions for sure. Okay. So that's 4. I don't know exactly.
Jaguars, you could probably
Jaguars, they're competitive, man.
I think that those are the 4 teams that you could argue are worse than them, and then after that, I think it's pretty much that's about it for teams that you would favor. No matter who the Bengals are playing, I would favor them against maybe 4 or 5 teams, and they're playing the Lions. The Giants? I would favor the Giants over the Bengals. I would. I think Galladay, Tony, Sterling Shepard, and Slayton, and Ingram gets a lot of slander, and he does have such a bad drop problem, but he's not the worst tight end in the league like a lot of Giants fans make him out to be. The defense is okay. I think it's a lot better than the Bengals defense. I don't love the Giants either, but if they were playing each other and I had to set the odds, I think I'd favor the Giants a little bit. Plus, I don't think they're playing the Giants. They're playing the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Browns. They have those in their divisions. That might be the second toughest division in the league after the NFC West. So it comes down to having to beat, you could maybe favor them over the Falcons. You could maybe favor them over a couple other teams, but I just don't see it. I think they lost their 2 of their 3 best defensive players after Jesse Bates in Carl Lawson, who's apparently been wreaking havoc at Jets camp, and William Jackson. I think their best corner is also gone. So I don't think the defense will be that good. I don't think the offense will be that good. So I can't say that they're now at the bottom of my power rankings, combined with playing in a very tough division with a difficult schedule. Someone's got to lose. About 2 games is probably the bottom. That's probably about the worst case scenario. But when I was going through it, I was like, they can maybe beat the Lions and they can beat the Jets. Other than that, I'm favoring everyone else.
Man. Cole, I want to hear what you have to say. I want you to jump in here.
I mean, what I have to say is
disrespectful.
It is a little disrespectful, but Daniel, what you were able to do is name off defensive players on the Bengals. I mean, I probably couldn't have done that outside of Chidobe Awuzie and Jesse Bates. And that's another thing, is that Jesse Bates has literally been that defense like the past few seasons, and there are no progress made on contract talks of giving Jesse Bates an extension.
Because it's
So
Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati. This
and
Bengals
the
are
management sucks. And
the
I
Bengals
think
are
a few months from now, we're gonna hear Jesse Bates' name in the trade rumors, and we might see Jesse
He'll get a
Bates going to a
contract. He'll
contender.
get a contract.
He's got to, because they cannot afford to
They'll
lose
give
him.
him a
It's,
contract.
you know, the TV show A Million Little Fires Everywhere. That's the Bengals defense. He's the only one that is not the one creating fires. He's the one trying to run around as far as he can. Him and Von Bell is also a pretty good safety. Next, Von Bell's not bad either. But Jesse Bates,
Mike Hilton's look good too. Mike Hilton,
Mike Hilton's all right, I guess. I don't know. I don't like the defense. I don't like it really. I mean, I had a first round grade on Chase and everything, but I didn't love him as much as some people did. Maybe a little bit higher on him than Cole, but I don't know. The Bengals, to me, the over-under on them is 6.5 wins. I think the under is free money. That's all I'll say.
It is 17 games, man. 17 games. They won 4 last year, and we'll see. But let's finish it off real quick. We
got to talk about Lawrence.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about you. I completely forgot. Let's talk about it. Right, Trevor Lawrence. First off, Urban Meyer. What the hell are you saying? Saying there's a damn quarterback controversy, Gardner Minshew? Like, the first pass that Gardner Minshew threw? Like what is – Cole, break down Trevor Lawrence for me. Anything different have you seen? And also, what the hell is this quarterback controversy?
No, I mean, I think there's a quarterback controversy, strictly in the headlines. But I think it's clear that Trevor Lawrence, he has the poise. He just has that pocket presence that Gardner Minshew has not been able to muster in those 2 seasons that he's been the starter. I mean, we saw just in the first few quarters of Lawrence action where he was able to navigate a collapsing pocket, just drift to his left, and then fire to Marvin Jones, who made that contested catch with numerous guys around him. And that's just something that Minshew has not been able to do consistently. And yeah, Lawrence wasn't perfect, but at least, he looks like there's some stability at the position moving forward. And that stability isn't going to be reinforced by, Urban Meyer just saying there's a quarterback controversy and limiting Lawrence's reps just for the sake, of there being one.
Yeah, I actually thought Lawrence was maybe the least impressive of all the first-round quarterbacks. And that's not to say he was bad. It's just everyone played pretty well. I did think he held the ball a little bit too long when he was throwing. I think he was maybe looking for a little bit of a wow moment. But the Jaguars could be in trouble because I liked them, but they were starting. They're kind of starters. Like Marvin Jones was out there, Trevor Lawrence was out there, and they couldn't score on the Browns' second team. The Browns were not starting their starters. So that was a little bit concerning.
So much depth, though.
The Browns have so much depth, but it was a little. He did have the fumble on the first play. He was holding the ball a little bit too long, but it wasn't a bad debut by any means. It's just everyone. Like, I don't know if it was better than Fields or maybe Zach Wilson didn't. Only threw 9 passes, so it's tough to say. But Lawrence he did look sharp. He did have a really nice pass to Marvin Jones. He just needs to get the ball out maybe a little bit quicker. And I think
the fumble on the first play was actually a good thing, though, because I think it just sort of like that was his welcome to the NFL.
Welcome
moment,
to the NFL. Yeah.
Where it's like, oh shoot, I can't hold on to the ball. I got to get this out faster. And
very fast lesson.
Yeah, more improved after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like when Devontae Booker fumbled his first NFL carry, right, and then immediately got benched and was like, okay, this is how it is. This is how pro teams operate. It's the same thing for Lawrence. Like the rookie quarterbacks live and learn by their mistakes in the preseason, and you can only hope that they improve off of them.
It made me think is like having no preseason last year, watching preseason this year made me realize how much of a detriment that is to just go in cold. That's got to be tough. That's got to be tough. And with any job, whether it be this podcasting, whether it be working at a bank, whether it be anything, more reps gets you more ready. And getting eased into the job is better than getting you thrown into the fire. So definitely, like, I might have to cut Tua a little bit more slack from where it was last year. And I may have to cut all these rookies from last year a little bit more slack, because watching it this year and watching guys like Javon Wims, like have a false run his route before the ball gets snapped, and like stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that needs to get worked out, and that first snap from Lawrence kind of proved that.
I don't know if you guys remember Javon Wims when he was, he threw the punch at the oh my God, you know what?
He might just be an idiot, so maybe that's not the best example. But
CJ Gardner-Johnson,
yes, that was very funny.
I don't know, that was just funny. But also, I want to talk about real quick Trey Lance versus Trevor Lawrence. I think Trey Lance has a better career than Trevor Lawrence and I'm going to say it because it's situation. Not enough people take into account where you land is extremely important to your career. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I might agree with you. I think Shanahan is going to give him a big leg up. I would bet on Lance for Rookie of the Year right now because I think he's going to get a solid start, and I think that he's going to be able to have the easiest spot to elevate him and to nurture him into reaching his full potential. And looking at Lance's tools, his full potential is pretty high. So I might say that I agree, especially early in the career. Maybe once it all plays out, it's Lawrence, but I don't think that's a crazy take at all.
I think there's also a possibility, Lawrence may like force a trade later, down the road where he gets out of Jacksonville, like we've seen so many players do the past few seasons, and actually go to a contender, and maybe he wins a Super Bowl for them. But yeah, at the moment with the current roster, I think just comparing the two, San Francisco is definitely, better at fostering success from Lance than Jacksonville is at the moment.
Who has never
Lawrence.
Done it.
Yeah, basically.
They've never done it. Yeah.
Let's finish off here. Gregory Rousseau, a guy I was really low on. He had a great preseason game against the consensus #1 offensive tackle, the once in a generation offensive tackle, Penei Sewell. What did you guys see out of it, right? Theo, I'll start with you. Did you see anything different out of Gregory Rousseau? Because I know I was low on him. What was your thoughts on that?
No, I didn't see anything super, super different from him. I saw something that – because I don't think anyone missed when they said Gregory Rousseau is not a good, pure, like deep in the bag pass rush skill guy. He's not. And there's no way to watch Rousseau and the sacks that he got and said, what a clean win by him. There's if you looked at that and thought that, you were wrong. If you looked at Rousseau and said, what a nice bend, dip, spin, like he wasn't doing that stuff. But why I always liked Rousseau, and then he tested bad. So I understand why people were low on him. And even after the testing, I lowered him from kind of, the top of the first round to more middle. But he had a sack on Penei Sewell, and you can take a screen grab from it, and then you start to get it, I think, and why NFL teams drafted him in the first round. And that is he is just gigantic. He is super strong and huge. And when he extends his arm like this, no one can get into his frame because he's 6'8" or whatever. And when you can do that, nothing else, it's hard to have a bad rep when the offensive linemen can't get their hands on you correctly. So that's what I saw from Gregory Rousseau on that sack that he had. Also, Goff dropped back like way deep, which made his life a little bit easier. So I don't want to overreact to just one sack, but I thought that was a good example of why Gregory Rousseau, and he was also 19. He was a converted defensive back in college. Like he was really young, really, really young, really raw, playing a new position. And he got 20 sacks and however many tackles for loss based on athleticism and sheer size alone. And now with him in an NFL weight room with NFL coaches, older, wiser, working out with Calais Campbell, another guy who's got it done based on his massive size. I like what I saw at Gregory Rousseau. I think that he can have a really productive career.
Yeah, I think for me, seeing Rousseau go out and dominate that one rep against Sewell proved to me how pass rusher is much less, or I guess is much more niche in sort of the attributes and abilities that you can display on the field than some other positions, right? And I think on the sort of opposite spectrum is Shaquille Barrett, who is more, smaller, compact than some of the other pass rushers in the league. And yet somehow he makes that an advantage for himself because he's able to slip under, the arms of offensive tackles and get to the quarterback that way because he's super
Carl Lawson
bendy.
does that too,
right?
yeah.
And Rousseau is kind of the opposite because, while he may not be, the most versatile pass rusher, may not be in his bag for most of the sacks, just the fact that he has like a wingspan of a pterodactyl just helps him in those situations. And that, I think Rousseau is the prime example of benefiting from the right destination. And what you were saying about what we were going to talk about with Rondale Moore, Daniel, and how that is a great fit for him, I think it's the same thing with Rousseau, where Buffalo, with the type of system that they have there, is just going to be great for Rousseau's development, because he just doesn't need to do anything extra at this point, and they can help him expand that arsenal as he progresses through his career.
Yeah, I want to finish off with the Arizona Cardinals as a whole, right? Let's really break it down. First off, they killed this draft, right? And I'm going to say it again. They absolutely killed this draft. Marco Wilson, loved him.
Mm-hmm.
All camp, everybody's been raving about him. Tay Gowan, cornerback, UCF, love him. Been killing it as well. And then our two guys, Zaven Collins, Rondale Moore. I was low on Rondale. I was low on Zaven Collins, I will admit. Theo was also low on Zaven Collins.
I thought you were much higher on him than me. I was the one who was hating on Zaven Collins, and also to an extent Rondale Moore. You were trying to talk. You were higher. You got to give yourself a little bit credit. You were higher on him than me.
I'll pat myself on the back, but Rondale Moore. Let's start off with him. I was wrong. I'll be the first to admit, and it was more of just like I was projecting him as against the Jamar Chases, the ex receivers of the world. Rondale Moore is going to fit in his niche. He's going to fit as a slot receiver, a gadget guy, and that's what we talked about. We literally said he's explosive. He's quick. Put the ball in his hands, he'll thrive, and that's what he's thrived so far with the Cardinals. Cole, what have you seen out of Rondale so far in camp?
Exactly what you described. I mean, he's going to be the shifty playmaker. The player Andy Isabella was supposed to be when the Cardinals took him at sort of Cliff's beginning of his head coaching tenure. And Rondale Moore just provides that explosiveness, that route running ability, just that superstar potential from that slot position that Andy Isabella just hasn't been able to reach at this point in his career. And so that's basically what I've seen from Rondale. I think Cliff is going to get super creative, super in his bag with him, and hopefully that's just going to expand the rest of the offense. If I see DeAndre Hopkins run the same 3 routes from the left side of the field this year over and over again, game after game, then I'm personally going to march down to the Cardinals Stadium and demand to speak with Cliff personally, so he can be more creative with his passing attack.
Hitting Larry Fitzgerald on a screen instead of like someone else. They needed Rondale Moore. They really did. And Kadarius Toney was the guy I always mocked to them because with the way that they spread out defenses with, in 10 personnel, 4 wide receivers, there's so many one-on-one opportunities, and they just didn't have the guys that could break tackles and keep going. And to me, I was always thinking Toney with that. But when they got Rondale, and Rondale was a guy that I did not like at all as a
you were super mean to him about his catch radius.
I was, because he had he's tiny.
He still doesn't.
He's this big and he has bad hands. So it's like, who is going to benefit from him running? You have to be so spot on to hit him on a go route, because he's got to go to someone incredibly accurate to do that, because if you miss him by a little bit, he's not going to be able to make the play, down the field. So that's why I was low on him. But he literally runs with the ball in his hands like he's damn Saquon Barkley. But he wasn't big enough to convert to a running back, in my opinion. So I should have seen it coming, Arizona, the same way, I like Toney. When they drafted him in the second round, it's like, okay, I can see that, because you're going to have 4 wide receivers. D-Hop is obviously someone you can hit down the field, AJ Green and Kirk. And then you can fit, Rondale Moore in his niche. And that's good. And that's where I think he finds success. I don't know if he'll ever be an 1,000-yard wide receiver. I don't know if you can say, I was wrong on him yet, because I don't think anyone could have watched him and been like, man, I really think this guy's – well, maybe some people could have. But I don't think we were wrong on him. I think that we had the right valuation, and maybe because he could, it's been one game, but maybe we were a little bit too close-minded about what his role would be. But I liked what I saw from Cliff, really. Not even so much Rondale. Like, I knew what Rondale could do. Cliff is obviously in the hot seat this year, I think. And I liked what I saw from him and what he did with Rondale Moore.
Yeah, I want to go back and rewatch that episode on Rondale and see if I feel like one of us said the Cardinals would be a good fit for Rondale.
It had to have, if you could find that, I might have to watch that and post it.
I'm gonna go
and pat myself on the
rewatch.
back.
Yeah,
Go back.
I know that I kept mocking Tony to them, and it was the same logic, and they picked them. So I'm gonna call myself half right.
And
My process was right. The results were wrong.
and I just want to really remind everyone, everything that we've said so far is pretty much exactly what we scouted, right? Like, and I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back because, guys, our evaluations have been pretty much spot on. It's nothing that we've seen has been like, wow, that's a shock. No, it's the film showed exactly what's, Rondale Moore, Trey Lance, all these guys. We watched it, and we pretty much, I'm not going to say we're spot on, but we're the draft dynamite. That's what we're doing. But we'll finish off Theo, Zaven Collins.
Well, you say that no one misses, and then you talk about me with Zaven Collins. I hated Zaven Collins because I didn't think he wanted to tackle anyone. But he started off immediately, with a tackle for loss. And if I had to bet on one miss right now, it might be Zaven, just because I was particularly low. And last year was kind of my first year scouting guys seriously too. So if I miss at a certain position more than others, I'll know to kind of like readjust how I look at it and readjust kind of, why did I miss? What did I miss at certain positions more than others? Because I like where I'm at with a lot of the guys that I've looked at. But Zaven looks good, even though he was a guy that I didn't think wanted to smoke from what I saw in college.
Yeah, like, I don't know. The Cardinals as a whole, like, I know we're about to end off, but I love them this year, man. Like 6-3 before Kyler Murray got hurt last year. You added J.J. Watt. You add Chandler Jones, who was hurt last year. Rodney Hudson is your center. Rondale Moore, like, the secondary is an issue. This is a playoff team. If Kyler's healthy, this is a playoff team. So I don't know, Cole, thoughts on Cardinals real quick.
I think the defense got significantly improved. I think the secondary is really going to be tested because they brought in a 32-year-old Malcolm Butler to sort of lock up
He's
the
32
NFC
already?
West. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I made a video on him on TikTok, and he has to cover a bunch of receivers to cover the Cowboys, the Vikings, and then,
Their
of
secondary
course, the
could
NFC
be
West.
rough. Their
Yeah.
secondary could be rough.
So I wanted to see them take a corner in the first round, but obviously they ended up going for Collins. So we're going to see how that linebacker setup works out with him and Simmons. But I think this is the most well-balanced air raid we have seen yet from Cliff during his time here, and I think that could really pay off because you have a good mix of vertical threats, big body receivers, smaller receivers, fast guys. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity for creativity in this offense.
Yeah. And Theo, anything else you want to say about the Cardinals?
Nope, I like him. Cliff could screw things up, but if he doesn't, they should make the playoffs. I think so. They were in a good spot before Kyler kind of got injured. He injured his shoulder last year. They win in dime. They also win in dime, and they couldn't run anyone over. That's the other thing. I think adding Rodney Hudson and James Conner is going to add a dynamic to them, a toughness to them that they didn't have last year with Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake. I think when they're going to be able to, if you go with all these DBs on the field to try to stop Kyler, now they have the added element of, the power running game. So I liked the James Conner addition a lot. They got him for nothing, like $1 million. So I do like the Cardinals, but they may miss the playoffs in that division. That's the only thing. But I think that's a good spot to end it.
Yeah, man.
We've been going for a while.
$1 million is chump change. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Guys, so our first episode, excited to be back every Monday, Tuesday. Not quite sure when we're going to be posting, but excited to be back. The three draft minds here at Arizona State University. Excited
We'll
to do
be in the
this
studio soon, too.
Studio, yes.
Very
live
hyped
in
for that.
Live in studio. So you can follow Cole on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere
At Ham Analysis, Theo.
I am at Theo Ash NFL on Twitter and TikTok.
And you can follow me at Alameda_views on Instagram and Twitter. I don't know about TikTok if that's my TikTok, but guys, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week or whenever we record next. And that pretty much does it.